In a small, picturesque village nestled between rolling hills and lush green fields, lived a poor but kind-hearted man named Arjan. He was a fisherman, and though his catch was often meager, he always shared what little he had with his neighbors. Despite his generosity, Arjan's humble home was a simple shack by the river, and his clothes were worn and patched. One crisp morning, as the first rays of the sun kissed the horizon, Arjan set out with his fishing rod and a small net. He walked to his usual spot by the river, the place where he felt closest to nature and his dreams of a better life. The river flowed gently, its surface shimmering like liquid silver. Arjan cast his line, hoping for a decent catch to sustain him for the day. Hours passed, and Arjan's patience began to wane. Just as he was about to pack up and return home, he felt a strong tug on his line. Excitement surged through him as he struggled to reel in his catch. To his astonishment, he caught a magnificent fish with scales that gleamed like precious jewels. "Please, don't harm me," the fish pleaded, its voice soft and melodic. Arjan's eyes widened in disbelief, but he quickly regained his composure. "A talking fish?" Arjan exclaimed. "This must be a dream." "It's no dream, kind fisherman," replied the fish. "I am a magical fish, and if you spare my life, I will grant you a wish." Arjan's mind raced. He had never been one to wish for grandiose things, but the prospect of improving his life was too tempting to ignore. "I wish for wealth," Arjan said, after a moment's thought. "Not just for myself, but enough to help my neighbors and bring prosperity to our village." The fish's eyes sparkled. "Your wish is granted," it said. "Return home, and you will find your life transformed. Remember, with great wealth comes great responsibility." With that, the fish slipped back into the river, leaving Arjan to ponder its words. He hurried home, his heart pounding with anticipation. As Arjan approached his humble shack, he could hardly believe his eyes. His once dilapidated home had been transformed into a grand, beautifully decorated house. The walls were sturdy and painted a cheerful shade of blue, with flowers blooming in well-tended gardens. Inside, he found fine furniture, soft beds, and a pantry stocked with delicious food. Arjan's neighbors, seeing the miraculous transformation, gathered around, their faces filled with awe and curiosity. He welcomed them warmly, sharing his newfound and telling them about the talking fish. The village soon prospered. Arjan used his wealth to improve the lives of his neighbors, building a school, repairing homes, and ensuring no one went hungry. The once poor village became a thriving community, and everyone was grateful to Arjan and the magical fish that had blessed them. However, not everyone was pleased with Arjan's sudden fortune. Among the villagers were two brothers, Petrit and Blarum, known for their greed and jealousy. They had always envied Arjan's kindness and the respect he garnered from others. Seeing his newfound wealth, their envy turned into a burning desire to possess what he had. Petrit and Blarum concocted a plan. They would catch the talking fish and make their own wish. The next morning, they set out with their fishing gear, determined to find the magical creature. Hours turned into days, but the fish eluded them. Frustration grew, and their greed intensified. Finally, on the seventh day, just as they were about to give up, Petrit felt a strong pull on his line. With a triumphant shout, he hauled in the shimmering fish. "Please, don't harm me," the fish pleaded, just as it had with Arjan. But unlike Arjan, the brothers were not moved by the fish's plea. "We demand wealth and power," Petrit declared. "More than that foolish fisherman Arjan received." The fish's eyes dimmed with sadness. "Your wish is granted," it said, before slipping back into the water. Petrit and Blarum hurried home, eager to see the results of their wish. To their astonishment, their modest home had transformed into a grand mansion, even more opulent than Arjan's. The brothers reveled in their newfound wealth, throwing lavish parties and flaunting their riches. But their greed had come with a price. The wealth brought them no joy, only suspicion and distrust. They became paranoid, fearing that others would try to steal their riches. They alienated themselves from the community, their hearts growing colder and more resentful. Meanwhile, strange things began to happen in the village. Crops withered, and the river, once teeming with fish, became barren. The villagers, who had once thrived under Arjan's generosity, now faced hardship and hunger. Desperate, they turned to Arjan for help. He listened to their pleas and knew he had to find the talking fish again. He returned to the river, hoping the magical creature could restore balance to their village. After hours of searching, the fish appeared. "Arjan, you have returned," it said. "I warned you of the responsibilities that come with wealth." Arjan bowed his head. "I understand now. Please, help us restore our village and teach Petrit and Blarum the error of their ways." The fish nodded. "Your wish is granted," it said. "But remember, true wealth lies in the heart, not in material possessions." Chapter 5. The Lesson. As Arjan returned home, he found the village transforming once more. The crops began to flourish, and the river teemed with fish. The villagers rejoiced, their hearts filled with gratitude for Arjan's wisdom and the magical fish's kindness. Petrit and Blarum, however, faced a different fate. Their mansion crumbled, and their wealth vanished. Left with nothing but their greed and jealousy, they realized the folly of their ways. Humbled and repentant, they approached Arjan and begged forgiveness. Arjan, ever kind-hearted, forgave them and welcomed them back into the community. He taught them the value of sharing and the importance of caring for one another. In time, Petrit and Blarum became valuable members of the village, their hearts transformed by the lessons they had learned. The village flourished once more, bound by the shared understanding that true wealth came from love, kindness, and community. Arjan's story of the talking fish became a cherished tale, passed down through generations as a reminder of the power of generosity and the perils of greed. And so, the villagers lived happily, hearts as rich as their land, forever grateful to the talking fish that had shown them the way. Years later, as Arjan sat by the river, he often thought of the talking fish and the lessons it had taught him. Though he never saw the fish again, he felt its presence in the rippling water and the whispering wind. He knew that the magic of the fish lived on in the hearts of his fellow villagers.